if these subjects went through chemotherapy and did a 3-day water fast, that on the third day at 72 hours, white blood cells that were tired and worn out rebooted themselves, reinvigorated themselves, and the immune system came on in a stronger way. Dr. Mindy here, and on this video, we're gonna talk about the Mac Daddy of all fasts, the 3-day water fast. So you guys know me, I like to make this as simple as possible. So let's start with this. The longer you fast, the more fasting healing switches get turned on. I have done so many videos on this. In fact, the most popular video on my channel was the first time I stood up with a big chart and said, hey, this is what happens the longer you fast. So when we look at the 72-hour fast, that is 3 days of fasting, we are looking at each switch that I teach you guys is going to get turned on, including the last switch that it gets turned on at 72 hours, which is an immune system reset. Now, the 72-hour fast was made very popular by Dr. Walter Longo. He has been a researcher in the fasting world for many years, and in his lab, he showed that if you went 72 hours of water only, his subjects were people going through chemotherapy. If these subjects went through chemotherapy and did a 3-day water fast, that on the third day at 72 hours, white blood cells that were tired and worn out rebooted themselves, reinvigorated themselves, and the immune system came on in a stronger way. We call those stem cells, and we now have taken his findings, and fasters all over the world use his 3-day water fast not only to reboot their immune system, but once those stem cells come surging in systemically through your body at 72 hours of a water fast, once that happens, you can repair musculoskeletal injuries. It will repair neurons in the brain. It will help with cancer cells that you may not even be aware are there. It will help you fight viruses. This is what I call the immune reset fast. But with these added stem cells, you can repair a lot of things. Along with, it's incredible for slowing the aging process down. So the 72-hour fast is phenomenal for this mega dose of healing that will happen in your body without any supplements, without any food. Your body naturally heals itself. So what do you need to know to be able to succeed at this fast? First, you have to know how to prepare for the 72-hour fast. I really want to encourage you to follow some really key principles to be able to succeed at this 3-day water fast. And one of them is you got to prepare for it. And I'm going to give you my favorite hacks right now. So, first hack, 1 week before the fast, this is what I want you to do. There are several changes I want you to make to your foods, and I'll talk a little bit about your fasting lengths. So the first thing you've got to do the week leading up to a 3-day water fast is you've got to avoid the 3 most toxic foods. This is your bad oils. These are your refined flours and sugars, and these are your toxic ingredients. In the companion guide, we list out what these are so you can go down and understand them in more detail, but this is basically the standard American diet. Second thing, I would encourage you to bring your caffeine intake down. Third thing, week before, you want to up your good fat as much as you can. So some good fat options. We are huge fans of Andrea seed oils. The reason I like Andrea seed oils is they're highly cold pressed, organic. They're great for stabilizing your blood sugar. So up your oils. You can do ghee. I love ghee with some raw nut butter. I often do before I do a 3-day water fast. And then, as always, MCT oil put out by Bulletproof is great in anything liquid. So the week before, let's up these oils knowing that we need to stabilize our blood sugar so that the 3-day water fast will be a little easier. Okay, fourth thing that I want you to do the week before is I want you to up your minerals. So we have fasted, my platform, my team, I kid you not, we have probably gone through this 3-day water fast experience with millions of people. And one thing that is very, very clear is that the world is mineral deficient. And you are mineral deficient for 2 reasons. One, our soils are mineral deficient, especially here in America. I've done a lot of videos on that. 2, if you do any sweating or you're an extreme athlete, you're definitely going to be more efficient. And then 3, if you've been fasting a while, you become, this is one of the consequences of fasting that we don't really like, which is your minerals can be deficient. So lots of great ways to improve mineral content, but the week before, I would be upping your element. Okay, last thing you want to do the week before your 3-day water fast is you want to increase your fasting length. So if you are 15 hours, like you've got a groove with 15 hours, can you push it to 16 or 17 hours before the 3-day water fast? If you can bang out 24 really well. Could you maybe go do one whole day where you don't eat, and then maybe you do 30 hours of fasting? Wherever your comfort level is, could you just push it anywhere from a couple hours to 5 hours increase so that you create what we call a hormetic stress? This hormetic stress, what it's going to do is it's going to force your body to adapt, and now when you go in that 3-day water fast, it will be easier. Okay. 2 days, next thing is 2 days before the fast. There are 2 major focuses I want you to have. 1, I want you to avoid all refined carbohydrates and sugars. So this is breads, even the gluten-free breads, pastas, cakes, cookies, get them all out. I want to make sure again that you're getting the bad oils out. That's really important. And I want you to take the fruit out 2 days before. Here's why. Because we want to stabilize your blood sugar. So please make sure that you're not going into the 3-day water fast amped up on sugars that make, or foods that make you insulin resistant. The second thing I want you to focus on 2 days before your 3-day water fast is I want you to up your protein. As much protein. If you are a carnivore lover, dive into a steak, get yourself some more chicken, like up your protein. This is not a time to be counting macros. I want you to bring your protein up, and I want you to bring your veggies up. Why is that? You're going to feed your microbiome with the collagen from protein, and the veggies will also feed different microbiomes, different bacteria. So this is really important because these bacteria will balance blood sugar. So I want you to up both of those macros, and I want you to avoid the harmful oils. I want you to get off the refined carbs. I'd even tell you get off the diet sodas. Anything with NutraSweet in it is going to make you insulin resistant. So that's 2 days before. Okay, the day before, I want you to sharpen your fasting focus. And here's how you do it. 1, you got to know why you're fasting. If you are like, hey, I think I kind of want to try a 3-day water fast, that could be hard. So I would encourage you to know what problem you're trying to solve. What is it that you want to, why do you want to do this? And really get convicted to that why. Second thing I want you to do is set an intention. So this works when I do a 3-day water fast. If I have any problems I'm working out in my mind, I just put it out there and I'm like, okay, help me solve X, Y, and Z. During this 3-day period, you're going to be amazed how much insight can come to you. So set an intention, ask a question, just put it out there, and you will be amazed at how peaceful your mind will get and how problems that seem really big right now on the 3rd day of that water fast will not seem so big. Those of you who've done this trick before, put it in the comments what you noticed. Okay, the next thing I want you to think of with sharpening your focus is I want you to gather your fasting knowledge. So get yourself some fasting books. Go binge watch my videos here, but when fasting gets hard, I would recommend you come back to my YouTube channel, start watching videos on it, because you will get not only the enthusiasm that I have for fasting, go read the comments, you're going to get the enthusiasm everybody else has for fasting, but you're going to see the science. Just when it gets hard, really dive into what I've provided here for you guys. And then the last thing I'll say on sharpening your fasting focus is I want you to think about what are you going to do when your mind yells at you. So your mind is going to say some things to you like, why are you doing this? Do you really need to do this? It's going to try to talk you out of it. So already ahead of time, what are you going to do when that happens? Are you going to go for a walk? Are you going to turn on your favorite Netflix series? Are you going to call your fasting friend and be like, mind is talking at me? Ahead of time, think about that. Okay, last two pieces to this, to the preparing for a fast. The fourth thing I want you to think about is know your boundaries. When do you need to break the fast? This usually comes from two things. Your numbers on your ketones. So if you get 24 hours into this and your number is down in the 40s, your blood sugar, break the fast. So I want you to know those boundaries of numbers. The other thing I want you to know are the symptoms. Some of the worst symptoms are when you get fatigued and dizzy. If you're really lethargic, like you can't pick up a limb, it is time to break the fast. I don't care what kind of commitment you made to yourself. If you are incredibly lethargic, it is time to break your fast. This is all in the companion guide, so know your limits. Okay, last thing. I know this is a long video. The fifth piece to preparing is surrounding yourself with community. So I have a couple of resources for you. My Resetter Collaborative on Facebook is a free fasting community, really positive. Just put Resetter Collaborative in the comments. My team will send you a link over there. If you need more guidance in my academy, my membership group, we have guides in there that are supporting people, giving more attention to people going through this process. What can you drink in a longer fast? Ready? Here we go. Let's drum roll because this question I get on lives all the time. So the first, when you are trying to figure out if a drink is okay for you in a longer fast, you've got to test your blood sugar. Please. That is the most scientific way to do this. How that looks is you take your Keto Mojo or your CGM or whatever blood sugar reader you have. You take a blood sugar reading. You don't need to take a ketone reading. Then you drink the drink, whatever it is. Maybe it's Element. And then half hour later, you take another reading. Are those two readings equal? If the second reading goes up, pulled you out of a fasted state. If it goes down, awesome. It's actually putting you deeper into a fasted state. If it stays balanced, that also can be quite good and just means it didn't touch your blood sugar and it's an approved drink. So know what is going to pull you out of a fasted state. You might do coffee and be fine. I might do coffee and not be fine. So this is why we have to test. It's our microbiome that really has an influence on our blood sugar levels. So I want you to test. Okay, second thing I want you to know is that when you're drinking in a longer fast, there are really two things that are best to drink. The first is water. It's a water fast. So even clean water. So please make sure that you're using some type of filtration. If you go to drmindypelz.com, I've got a lot of resources there. I've got Clearly Filtered is a pitcher that's really takes out, it's less expensive and will take out toxins all the way up to some reverse osmosis ideas on there. So make sure that it is clean water. Those of you that love hydrogen water, that would also be great. And you can find more about hydrogen water in the Resetter podcast I did with Dr. Paul. You can go to iTunes and find that. The second thing that would be really great are minerals. So this is Element. Rob Wolf actually created these for fasters, specifically longer fasts. So water with minerals is literally the best thing to use when you fast. So some of you told us, well, gosh, Element is making my blood sugar go up. Very rare. The more you fast, it'll bring it down, I promise you. But what I would encourage you to do is you can get the unflavored one for sure. Or when you break your fast at the end of this whole 3-day water fast, start adding more minerals in before you do your next longer fast. So that would be another option. Okay, but that's best. Water and minerals, absolutely best. The cleaner the water, the better. The other thing I want you to realize is that there's some things that are kind of in the gray area. They're sort of in this medium place. Carbonated water is one of them. So LaCroix water, Pellegrino's, Gerolsteiner is my favorite because Gerolsteiner has more minerals. But mineral water is kind of like, it might work, it might not, up to you. You want to make sure if you're getting a mineral water, it doesn't have any of this NutraSweet. Stevia may or may not work for you. That gets gray. Some people it works well, some don't. So any chemical or artificial sweetener in there may pull you out of a fasted state, so you're going to need to test it. What about coffee and tea with MCT oil? Well, I'm a little more of a fasting purist. I like in the longer fast for you to get off of coffee. I have had some conversations with Dave Asprey. He's a fan of doing clean coffee with some MCT oil. When you go into longer fasts, he feels like it's a really good way to make sure that you get into that ketogenic fat burning energy system a little quicker. So if you want to do clean coffee with some MCT oil, I put it in the middle medium category. Okay, now what are the worst? These are the worst please don't do this. Well, any soda pop, just because it's a drink, if it has sugar in it, it's going to pull you out of fasted state. But diet drinks make you insulin resistant. So no Diet Cokes, no NutraSweet of any kind. Alcohol, not a great idea. Even dry farm wine's not good to do in a longer fast. So anything that raises your blood sugar, not a fan. Those are the worst. Soda, not a fan. Alcohol, not a fan for these longer fasts.
Okay, have you been watching my videos and you're like, I don't know how to put this stuff all together? You might need my fasting lifestyle free course. I'll teach you exactly how to do it. Just click on the link below. It'll take it to you and it's absolutely free. My gift to you.
Let's dive into breaking a longer fast. This is so important. So important. I don't know how to emphasize how important breaking your fast is. It's equally as important as doing the fast. How about that for a strong statement? So there are a couple things I want you to know. One, in these longer fasts, so to me, a longer fast is 24 hours or longer. So it's actually past 24 hours. In a longer fast, you are making changes to the microbiome, to your microbiome. Really powerful changes. So when we go to eat, we want to make sure we are feeding the good bacteria in your gut. And I'll tell you how you do that in a moment. But I want you to realize that there's a lot of healing switches that have been turned on in 72 hours. We are going to turn some of them off just because once you start eating, they turn off. But this reset to the gut will be profound. And if you do the 4-step process that I teach you, you will nourish the good bacteria that make you neurotransmitters to calm your brain, that bring your blood sugar down, that support your immune system, that heal a leaky gut. You name it, these bacteria are your friends. And we want to make sure after a big fast, like a 3-day water fast, that we're taking impeccable care of them. Which leads me to my second point. I have created a 4-step process to help you break this longer fast. So you want to follow the order of what I'm about to tell you. So the first step, when you go to break your fast, you're going to break it with a liquid. Now, I prefer that you break it with a broth. I actually think the best thing to break it with is bone broth. Bone broth has glycine in it, and glycine will really nourish the inner lining of your gut and prevent a leaky gut situation. Go listen to the podcast I did with Dr. Stephen Gundry. He talked about the number one challenge with people's energy right now is because they have a leaky gut. Well, if you just went through 72 hours of water fasting and the first thing that goes in your mouth is bone broth, you are really setting yourself up for success with your gut health and overcoming a leaky gut. I highly recommend it. If you're vegan and you want to do veggie broth, you can do that. If you want to do a green juice, this is kind of a new twist I'm going to throw in there. You can, but there's a couple of rules. It has to be organic, it has to be cold pressed, and there can't be any fruit in it. So if you want to do cucumber, if you guys love celery juice, things like that, you can do that in this first step if that is enjoyable for you. Okay, second step. Then after you've done your liquid, you're going to do a probiotic something. probiotic rich anything. This is your sauerkrauts, your kimchis, your kombuchas, anything fermented pickles. You can do anything fermented, cocoa, it's a coconut fermented yogurt. The reason you're doing something fermented is you want to add in some good probiotics. So that's step number 2. Step number 3. Now we want to feed the bacteria that we just added in, but we also want to feed the bacteria that may be flourishing from the 3-day water fast. So you want to add in prebiotic foods in this 3rd step. So these are your fresh greens. These are your seeds, your raw seeds and your raw nuts. And these are your low glycemic foods. So some of your cruciferous foods. Now, in things like cauliflower and Brussels sprouts and broccoli, I would encourage you to lightly steam them. But otherwise, you could do a fresh set of greens with parsley and mint. There's so many yummy things you could do in this 3rd step. Then the 4th step is now you're ready to eat a clean protein. So if you eat animal meat, then you're going to make sure that, especially after the 3-day water fast, make sure it doesn't have a lot of hormones in it. It's not pumped full of chemicals. So those are the 4 steps: a liquid, probiotic food, a prebiotic food, then a protein. Crucial point to this step: no refined carbohydrates at all. So make sure the breads, the pastas, cakes, cookies, none of that. You got to go through the 4 steps. Now, one of the questions we get a lot, and this is the 3rd thing I want to bring to your attention, is how long in between each step? So I like somewhere between 30 minutes to an hour. So think about your fast. If you stop eating Monday at 3 and your 72 hours is Thursday at 3, that gives you some time to slowly work on making sure that every half hour you add a new step in. Do not add any other food in until you've done at least the 4 steps and that there's been at least a half an hour in between each step. Then you're going to be ready to dive into whatever you want. Why the steps? Okay, how many, and put in the comments, how many of you have done a fast and the minute the time's up, you do what I call the boomerang effect. You start to do more, you eat whatever, and then you feel horrible. So I'm trying to stop the boomerang effect. The other part of doing this 4-step process is I want to help you rebuild your microbiome. You just did something amazing in this 72 hours. So let's make sure you're rebuilding and resetting this gut. And then the 3rd reason is that your gut hasn't eaten in 3 days. Let's slowly work ourselves into this process so that the gut doesn't go into shock. If you get bloated at all in this process, you may have something called SIBO, and it's a good chance more fasting is in store for you. I've done videos on gut issues, so go back and watch those. I'm sure my team will put some links in here for you on that. Last thing, what are some of the challenges that might happen if you don't follow these steps? So the first question I get a lot is, will I undo my results? No, you won't. All the healing switches, they still got turned on. What you may undo is the great gift you just gave your microbiome. So that's the only thing that you can undo, but all the autophagy, all the ketones, all the anti-inflammation, the bringing down insulin, all the fat burning stuff, you're not going to undo that. You've already accomplished that. But there's more that you can be doing to improve your microbiome health. The other thing you'll know if you don't do this is that you can get a lot of crampy gut. Your gut digestion might be like, whoa, can't take that, and you might get a cramping gut. You might get sleepy. Your body might not be able to handle the glycemic influx, and you might get pain. You just went through in a longer fast of anti-inflammatory experience. If you get gut problems, if you get sleepy, if you get a pain at all, I want you to realize that that food might not work for you. So it may be that you're allergic to that food, your body doesn't respond well to that food, so we have a really good opportunity to see what foods work well and don't work well for you, for all of us. Okay, how often should you do a longer fast? I will tell you, when I was coaching people one-on-one, that we were able to do a 72-hour fast once a week. But we were minding their numbers. I was watching them very closely. They were reporting those numbers back to me. So if you have an immediate crisis and you are looking to use fasting to really heal you, You can do it once a week, a 3-day water fast, but it has to be doctor supervised. I am not recommending it if you are not supervised by a doctor that is watching your numbers every single day. You also, if you're in an immediate crisis, you could do it once a month. Again, if you have cancer, if you have diabetes, pre-diabetic, please involve your doctor in this longer fast. But for prevention, if you just want to prevent and keep your health at its best, once a year is just fine for a 72-hour fast. Now, I want to throw a couple of things of caution out here to you guys. First, women, with these longer fasts, remember that we should not be doing anything longer than even intermittent fasting, but definitely not these longer fasts. 36, 48 to 72 hours should never be done the week before your cycle. That is the hardest time to fast. It will destroy your hormones. Please don't do that. Those of you that have a crisis, please involve your doctor. And in the longer fast, you need either a continuous glucose monitor or you need a Keto Mojo to know your numbers. It's that important once you go over 24 hours.
I know you're struggling to lose weight. It may be your fasting length. So in this video, I'm going to show you the perfect fasting length to unstick weight loss. In fact, it's such an incredible tool for weight loss. I think you should start with fasting before you change your food to be able to get into that door in for losing weight.